Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to episode 128 of the Live Your Fuck Yes Life podcast. I'm Amanda Catherine Loy, and today I am coming at you solo with a major heart-to-heart. And I just want to preface this conversation with a trigger warning around eating disorders and body dysmorphia and anything of the sort that you might be navigating in your own personal life. I will say I'm not going to be going into the ins and outs and the specifics around this. I've already done that about my personal journey in previous episodes of the podcast. If you're looking for those specifically, you can check out episode 107, where I share my personal whole story around my cycles through multiple eating disorders in my 20s and late teens. And you can also check out episode 108, where I have an incredible guest around all things eating disorder cycles. But today I wanted to speak from the heart around something I've personally been navigating, something I see a lot of people talking about not knowing how to navigate online, and also something I'm seeing within my clients right now. So we're going to be having a chat. So whether you are on a walk and listening as you go, or have this on while you are cleaning the house or running errands or popping somewhere on a drive, whatever you're doing, wherever you are, I just want you to know that I see you and I hear you and I'm with you. And I hope that this expression of my own experience reminds you of the important things and helps you feel a little less alone in your own journey with your body and feeling confident and at home in your own skin. Before we get there, I want to let you all know that tickets are officially live for the next Live Your Fuck Yes Life virtual summit. This is the third one we are doing, and I'm so excited. The theme for this one is around all things sex and sexuality. I've been asked time and time again for a summit on this, and it's going to be freaking epic. The link to snag your tickets is in my bio. You just need to snag the Eventbrite ticket, and you will get added to the private Facebook group where all of it is going down. Whether you can attend live or if you're busy that day, you can watch the replay. It is just as potent and impactful either way. I know a lot of you have busy lives and there's lots of stuff going on, and I wanted to make this as accessible as possible. There will be 4 guest speakers, excluding myself, the day of. And then I also have 2 bonus guest speakers that are coming on as well. We are going all around the map, talking about, the different spectrum of sexuality, to sex toys 101, to open relationships, to just a pretty impactful Q&A around all things sex, to a embodiment and talking about polarity in the bedroom when it comes to having a better sex life and intimacy with your partner or partners, to a closing chakra ceremony and beyond. It's going to be amazing, and I cannot wait to see you inside of there. If you are a BIPOC or part of the LGBTQ plus community, please DM me and ask for the discount code. Like I said, accessibility is so important to me, and I can't wait to see all of you inside the space and go on the really amazing journey that is the summit. If you've been there before, you know the magic. And if you haven't, I encourage you to take the plunge, and I will see you inside there. Okay, so what are we talking about this week? Something that I have been working through personally for the last few months, really feeling the effects and the impacts of the last 2 weeks. And I'm kind of going through it as I'm talking to you, which I don't always share in that way. But this one felt important to do so for a lot of reasons. Mostly and largely because I haven't really shared in time about anything around any thoughts around my eating disorder recovery or my body dysmorphia dysmorphic tendencies in real time. It's always been after the fact, sharing my story from years back. But I've been sitting with a lot of different things as the pandemic is kind of rolling around, and at least in the US, quarantine is coming to an end, for all of us vaxxed folks. And it's also made, this very interesting dynamic of, oh, okay, I can be seen now again, whether that's seeing other people, be seen in public, going places, and coming out of this essentially we've been hiding in many ways for the last year plus. I know I personally I have been taking quarantine pretty seriously and haven't really gone very many places outside of the bubble that is my home and my tiny, tiny bubble of humans. And, as I consider and start the process of reintroducing small things into my life, or the potential of dating and meeting new people and actually seeing them face to face instead of virtually, and so many other things, I have been met with some fear popping up. And it's been so focused around my body. And when I really took some time to sit with myself and ask myself, like, where this was coming from and why, I realized it's because I am right now, I think, the heaviest I have ever been in my life. And I say that the I think component of that because I haven't actually weighed myself. I haven't owned a scale or weighed myself in a very long time because it is a massive trigger for me. Numbers were super huge part of my sense of self and worth for a long time at the beginning of my eating disorder journey, whether that was the number on the scale or calories or whatnot. And I think, because I feel the heaviest. I feel like when I look in the mirror, I see a bigger version of myself than I have in a long time. And it was very interesting to realize that, because what I realized was the version of myself, the figure I was witnessing in front of me, looked a lot like the figure that I would see in photos the few months that led up to my first step into my eating disorder cycle, the first major diet I stepped into when I was 20 years old. And I will never forget the moment that took place. I had gone on vacation with my family and was sending, had just started, I was a year and a bit into my relationship with my now husband. And I was sending him photos from the trip to keep him kind of up to date with what I was doing and all sorts of stuff. And I found myself not wanting to send pictures of me because I would look at them and I didn't like what I saw. I was really unhappy, actually, with what I saw. And I know so many of you can relate to this. I think this is the moment that has kicked off a lot of our body dysmorphia journeys or eating disorder journeys, because we see something either in the mirror or in a photo and it freaks us out. And I remember back then thinking, oh my God, I'm huge. And saying all of these really derogatory, really mean things about my body to myself. And I found it so interesting because I look in the mirror now and I see a beautiful human. I see a beautiful human who is curvier than she has been. I see so much love for myself. And I also felt a lot of sadness when I made this realization. And if you're watching the YouTube, you've noticed that my eyeballs have filled with a little bit of tears, because I genuinely, after all the work I've done, I genuinely can look in the mirror and be okay with where I'm at right now. And not just okay, but like love myself where I'm at. And it's not despite of the fact that I am heavier than I have been. That doesn't matter, at the end of the day. But for so long it did. And I would be lying if I said that when I made that realization, the shoulds didn't start to pile up. Well, you should be really miserable with how you're looking, right? You should maybe think about going on a diet, or should cover yourself up more with your clothes. There were a lot of shoulds that came to play, because the pattern, right, that I have had imprinted in my brain for so long, and that we all have been programmed to believe, is that bigger and heavier is bad, should be changed, isn't worthy of love. And I'm not even, big according to, I think, certainly, like, there's no way that I would ever be considered part of the plus size community. I don't even know that the mid-size community would consider me. Technically, I fall into that given the size of clothing that I'm wearing right now. But, that is just, like, I am by all means, not a part of those community in a massive way. And yet I have been programmed to believe that anything, more than a size 6 is unacceptable and disgusting and gross and unlovable, and, I was the same weight or size that I am now, when I first met my husband. And I had no qualms about the fact that he was falling in love with me at that point, and didn't think that, like, if my weight changed significantly once I had lost all the weight, that he would stop loving me. And yet what was so interesting is that I have now, because I had been, probably 20 pounds lighter than I am right now, I had been dating in that space. And the first thought wasn't about my self-worth. It wasn't about the love I have for myself or how I see myself in the mirror, which were all the thoughts that were, constantly plaguing me at the time. For me, it started looking like, well, the people that I'm dating now find me attractive. Well, they want to date me. And that was interesting for me. That was a really interesting realization. It was a really interesting thing to contemplate, because at the end of the day, I want to date somebody that would love me and find me attractive at all ends of the spectrum of my body fluctuation, which it fluctuates a lot all the time, as our bodies do naturally. And something I've been seeing so many people talk about is, pandemic weight gain and how terrible it has been. And I think that there is a very big difference between saying, well, I gained weight during this quarantine and I don't feel 100% like me, or haven't been as active or eating as thoughtfully, and I would really love to be more mindful in that space to feel better. And the plethora of people that I see that are talking about, I need to go on these intense diets in order to lose weight really fast because it's fucking #hot girl summer, or, I need to get beach bikini ready, and how dare I have some extra rolls, or, bigger belly or more cellulite on my ass than I did when I entered quarantine. And no matter what the thoughts that are going through your head around your body right now, I just want to remind you that there is no right or wrong, but I want to encourage you to remember that we have been through trauma. The last year and a half has been so wildly traumatic for so many of us and in so many different ways. And when we are put in lots of stress, which is what trauma, consistent trauma exists and looks like, our bodies react. And a lot of that looks like weight gain, because it's how our bodies, keep our organs safe and healthy. And that little bit of weight gain, or maybe even a lot of bit of weight gain that you've experienced, is really normal in the circumstances that we've been met with. And how beautiful would it be if we could all step into this summer normalizing that all bodies are worth loving, normalizing that, no matter what we weigh, we can learn to love ourselves and accept ourselves as we are, instead of punish ourselves for what we're not. For me, my body dysmorphia and my eating disorders were punishment over and over. Punishment for eating, quote, badly, which if you know me, you know that I don't believe in good and bad when it comes to food, or punishment for not having worked out, or punishment for gaining weight. And the way that I speak to myself in the mirror is this, my inner shit talker comes out hard, and Janine is screaming at me saying all these awful things about myself and how I'm undeserving of love and should be ashamed of my body. So what that I can't fit into my shorts right now? I'll go buy a pair that I can. And yeah, do I feel not my best right now? 1,000%. And that's okay too. I can love myself when I don't feel my best. What a radical concept. It shouldn't be radical. And I say shouldn't with intention. It should not be a radical concept, and yet it is. It's such a radical thought to love yourself when you don't feel 100% your best. What if we loved ourselves through the mess? What if we showed up every day and said, I love you, I see you, I'm proud of you, when we're having breakdowns on the floor, when we are going through our toughest times, when our anxiety is at its highest, when our bodies don't look the way we want them to? What if we loved ourselves through the whole process, through it all? It shouldn't be radical, but it feels radical. And I'm going through it with you too. When you have a history of eating disorders and body dysmorphia, which I personally believe most of the population does, it never really leaves you. You're never recovered the same way that an alcoholic is never recovered. They can be sober for a long time, but they're still an alcoholic. That's why I always say I'm in recovery, and I always will be. But the longer that time passes, and the more that I move through the process of loving myself and of being with myself, the more that I realize that these thoughts and these pressures, while those may not go away or get quieter, we can choose how we interact with them. So while I might look in the mirror right now and have moments where I go, damn, Amanda, you're not looking great, or my inner shit talker will say words to me that I don't love, or society / TikTok is showing me all these, hot girl summer roundups and not including a variety of body types in that presentation. I still witness those feelings and thoughts, but I also recognize that I have the ability and the power to operate differently from them, to choose to be compassionate with myself, to give my body extra love during this time. And while I have made some choices in the last few days that have put me on a path to feeling better. I'm committing to doing a 5K walk around the neighborhood every day to get outside and move my body. And, we've been eating takeout a lot, partially because we've been unexpectedly traveling and there's been a lot of stress in the house the last few weeks. And also because we've, through quarantine wanted to support local spaces. But we've gotten away from cooking as much as we used to. And, wanting to make that more of a priority. And so I'm going to go grocery shopping today, actually going to a grocery store and pick out my food, which I haven't done in so long. All of these things that I am doing to support feeling better. And how can I love on my body in the process? How can I tell it that it is beautiful and worthy, and, go on dates if that's where I'm feeling pulled to, and just, be in the clothes that I have right now that feel amazing and fit me and make me feel confident. Or maybe I'll, do a quick Target haul, and get some, inexpensive, a few pieces that make me feel really good where I'm at right now. Instead of trying to force myself to fit into the things that don't fit me. How can you meet yourself where you're at with love and with self-compassion? That is what I encourage you to do today and every day. And if you need a push in that space outside of this, so much of navigating sex and sexuality is about our bodies, and it's about how we see ourselves and how we view ourselves and liberating our truest selves. And we're going to be deep diving into all of that at the Live Your Fuck Yes Life Virtual Summit. So again, all of that information is in the show notes. Or if you're on my Instagram or TikTok, you can just head to the link in my bio and snag your ticket. And I really look forward to seeing you there. And yeah, I'm going to be sharing, and I probably already have shared, a pretty vulnerable photo, I guess, and a caption around today's episode on Instagram. So once you've listened to this, come on over and give it some love and share your own perspective around your journey in the pandemic. If you've also experienced, shifts with weight and how that's impacted you, you're not alone. And I hope you feel that after today's episode. And yeah, until next week, I will see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.